My name's Associate Professor Craig Hassard and I work at Monash University, based originally in the Department of General Practice. Mindfulness is very simple. It has to do with paying attention to the present moment, to our life as it unfolds, but also cultivating an attitude with which we pay attention. Researchers and psychologists start to adapt mindfulness to help people with chronic and relapsing depression. And when those studies started to come out showing major reductions in relapse rates, other people started to take it seriously. And literally on the back of the research, it's just gone up exponentially since the early 2000s. To the point that, say, last year alone, 2016, there were just under 700 new papers published in refereed medical, psychological journals. One of the interesting things and the challenging thing for people to understand is how mindfulness can have profound effects on our physical health. Now, to understand that, we need to understand a little bit about the fight or flight response. So for a short period of time, we're faster and we're stronger and we'll have more endurance than we normally have. Now, the unfortunate thing is that when we're not mindful, we often activate that response when we don't really need it. So one of the people to really put this on the map, the chronic effect of this overactivation of the response, was McEwen. And he described what he called allostatic load, physiological wear and tear, like flogging the car day in, day out. And that's associated with a poor immune function. We get less defense against coughs, colds, infections. We're more likely to get sick during periods of high stress, but we get more inflammation. The technical term's immune dysregulation. Metabolic effects, blood pressure, blood glucose, blood lipids are out of whack. It thins our bones. It increases the rate of atherosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries that leads to heart attacks and strokes and so on. If we wanted to accelerate aging, this is how to do it. But it damages the brain as well. So these stress chemicals day in, day out damage areas that are very important, like the hippocampus, so that's our learning and memory center of the brain, and the prefrontal cortex, so that's working memory and executive function. These are our higher functions. And damaging those areas of the brain is not what we want to do. The effects of this high activation of the stress response and so on, the psychological, emotional stress, has even been found to go right down to the DNA of our cells. So Elizabeth Blackburn, an Australian woman who won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2009 for discovering telomeres, she and her team, Elisa Epel, particularly prominent among her team, have found that overactivating this response accelerates the aging process as measured by DNA in terms of telomere length. So we can be about a decade older by middle age if we've got high levels of anger and hostility and stress and so on, compared to somebody who might have the same situation in life but is getting less stressed and reactive over them. The interesting thing is, when we practice being more mindful, then it switches off these distracted default circuits. It engages the sensory areas and the attention centers of the brain. And when we're sitting down practicing mindfulness meditation, those centers in our brain are getting a workout. It's like they're going to the gym, right? You're lifting some weights, they're on the treadmill. It starts to have a whole range of positive effects on the health. So we get immune regulation. So better immunity, we're less likely to get sick with coughs, colds, infections. It switches off excessive inflammation, takes stress off the cardiovascular system, switches down cortisol, all the damage that it has on the bones. Elizabeth Blackburn and her team have been doing work on that in a whole series of studies that started, first one published in 2009, that showed that mindfulness switched on the repair enzyme called telomerase and has been found to slow down the rate of aging down to the DNA of the cells. If that was a drug, that would be a blockbuster drug.